community failed. If we came out of the natural hair community having to still work on learning to love our natural hair textures, are we going to sit here and claim that the outside other populations, black men and otherwise, all loved our hair when we didn't? It's Julesy, and we are back for another video. You're getting kind of a special treat. Is this 2 for 1 in 1 month, girl? Don't get used to it. But shout out to Audible for sponsoring this video. As you know, if you're a longtime person here, Audible is the true one. And I'm a personal big fan of Audible. You know, I run the SBG book club. We are reading books every month, all the time. And this month, I'm actually listening to All the Boys Are in Blue, our July general track read on Audible. And it's a really easy, great listen and such a good book. So thank you to Audible for sponsoring this video. You can sign up and get your first month free, audible.com/Julesy, or text Julesy to 500 and get your first month free on Audible. And there's so many great selections. I listen to so many good podcasts on Audible. I get so many great books. You know, as I said before, it helps with my grad school reading. So definitely be sure to use my link. And if you haven't already, sign up for the SVG book club. We're doing tons of great reads, tons of community involvement. Come on over and sign up for your free membership, svgbookclub.org. We taking it back. We're going to have a good old conversation going back to how many of you first came to know me. When I first started on YouTube, all the way back in the early 2010s, I was a natural hair YouTuber. And specifically, I was a 4C natural hair YouTuber. And I left in 2013 doing a video calling out the natural hair industry for texture discrimination. I find the natural hair community to be full of swindles, largely because they continue to promote the idea that healthy natural hair is curly, it's shiny, it's laid full of baby hairs, and then that's the pinnacle for what healthy natural hair should look like. That leaves such a large audience of women out who are natural and who might be thinking that they're doing something wrong with their hair because their hair doesn't look like what's being represented in the natural hair community. And fast forward almost 10 years later, I do not at all feel wrong for the things that I said in this video. I feel very reaffirmed with the way the natural hair community has gone and what its current iteration looks like in the social media landscape. I largely have the belief that for most of us, the natural hair community within the 21st century and specifically within the 2010s failed us. Now, when I did my original video on texture discrimination, I was mostly calling out the corporations for their reliance on silkier hair textures, for heavily utilizing Black adjacent creators, promoting their product as a means for a particular type of hair texture, often being marketed to women with 4C and beyond. Really what we grown now. We could colloquially, it's nappy, highly textured, tightly coiled hair was often being marketed to as if you use my product and you can get a looser curl texture. And I took big issue with that. Also, I was watching as a content creator in this space, doing a lot of work, seeing my branding and messaging being co-opted, but not getting any of the equity that was being provided at the time in the space. I was not being sponsored, though I would be getting sent copious amounts of product. I was not being invited to hair events. I was not really included in the natural hair community. Now, people had plenty of opinions about why that was. Honestly, a lot of y'all could eat it because I still been eating. But girl, we survived. Bitch, I'm still alive. I did have a lot of fallout from doing that video and calling out brands. And I did that video knowing that I was ending my career as a natural hair guru or influencer. And I thought I would kind of slow down and pace myself out of doing natural hair content and slowly transition into what would become cultural commentary. But there was such fallout from brands who just were so disrespectful to me, like Talia Wajid and Curls, and particularly Curls, and event producers, so individual players within the natural hair community who wanted to co-opt and use the conversation I started around texture discrimination without paying me or including me in the conversation. They wanted to use the discourse I started, but keep me out of it. And it was a whole bunch of fallout that pretty much signified it was the end of my time in the natural hair community. You know, it was no going back. And I moved forward and I flourished greatly, to be honest. I'm very happy I did that. It was so disheartening because also a lot of these people and these brands in particular then went on to pivot into the Black woman empowerment space where they went from hawking products to selling courses. Look, get your passive income, I guess, if it works for you. But to watch these people pivot and to supposedly be these courses are about uplifting Black women. Okay. This video honestly is not about me. I'm just having a little fun, a little reminiscing, you know what I mean? Saying what I want to say. But when I think about what happened in that realm, in that era of the natural hair community, I think the failure is largely the fault of the thing that I always like to blame most things on, capitalism. Any pushback that happened within the natural hair community. So similarly, when I did my texture discrimination video, or the way plenty of us in the natural hair community were very vocal about the underrepresentation or the misrepresentation of 4C and tightly coiled hair textures and more visibly Black women with various types of hair, whether it was thin, whether it was shorter, whether it was in between lengths, being represented within the natural hair community, being very vocal, and that kind of pushback and discourse happening, it was always quickly commodified as the next selling point. The support from the companies that want to utilize me and utilize my audience to capitalize financially off of it still don't support in the same way that they support other people with curly, bouncy baby hairs. I'm like so stuck on this baby hairs thing, largely because what I find interesting is that I could do the same style. Like one of my most popular natural hair videos is flat twist for 4C natural hair, curly flat twist. It's like the first like thorough tutorial that I ever did. It's like almost at 200K. A young girl put up a video, shiny baby hairs, curly hair naturally, and her video did the same numbers my video did in a year and a half in 2 weeks. Why? Because it was shared all over Facebook. It was all over Instagram. It was like everybody's whatever social media accounts reposted her content because her hair just looks pretty start to finish. As I alluded to in my texture discrimination video, there was an over-representation of shiny, highly defined curl textures, of biracial, multiracial, Black adjacent women being centered in the campaign, oftentimes hawking products that they would not show using on their own hair, but claiming this is how they got their hair to look the way it did, when simply it was often just genetic. And then again, the products that we have marketed to highly textured, tightly coiled hair types, being told you can get looser curls, you can get this look that this person naturally has on their hair by buying this set of products. We have these products specially modified for your hair texture. Okay, girl, what's in it? Some new kind of oil, marshmallow oil, avocado oil, all the new kind of oils. And honestly, what is now transversed in the natural hair community, and it's been wild to see the pivot towards baby hair products. Products for laying your edges. We moved away, slowly away from this highly defined, shiny hair textures constantly being centered. And I'm very, very slightly move away. I mean, it wasn't a significant shift to, well, as long as you had baby hairs, that hair was desirable. So you look at my hair and you see I have a little fizz ball around the edges. There ain't no baby hair to lay, baby. We kinky all the way around, all right? If I was to do 2 French braids with my natural hair texture and left my edges as is, it would not be promoted as a desirable hairstyle. Now, I could do 2 French braids, and if I had it swoop my edges in, swooped in very meticulously, suddenly, this becomes a new trend, a new hairstyle. And it's like fascinating to watch. No, Jada Waiter is not necessarily a natural hair influencer. I don't believe she has natural hair. Maybe she do. Who knows? But, you know, it's like the Jada Waiter effect. 5 big chunky braids, but the baby hairs is laid. And suddenly that becomes a desirable style. It suddenly becomes really cute and everybody wants it. Oh, okay. You know, what I do consider like the height of like the natural hair movement, sort of like the mid 2010 cycle between 2014 and 2017, the natural hair movement really took off. We got a lot of natural hair events. We had several Black women-owned natural hair companies come to get great prominence. But then they sell out to these larger corporate oligarchies like the Unilever, the L'Oreal, and then they pivot to selling courses. Just the way that this movement always becomes about what can be commodified and what Black women can be sold to. And I do think that maybe we can acknowledge that as one of the successes of the natural hair movement is really defining Black women as a very solid consumer base, though that was quickly manipulated, and rather than truly servicing our needs, quickly changing the messaging to tell us what we need to buy in order to achieve this aesthetic that is not naturally attainable. I don't necessarily have a time period from when this movement became popular, but at least on TikTok and my time on there, I've noticed the no oil movement become very popular, which is kind of wagging its finger at the era of YouTube influencers and telling the YouTube influencers that we were the ones that, well, not me because I got out early, but y'all was the ones that manipulated and lied to your consumer base for them to have to go buy all these products, and you created all these product junkies. I think that's real fascinating claim, because as I do remember it, the event producers and the natural hair companies were pumping a lot of money into marketing and creating cruises and natural hair retreats. And it was all about going to an event and being able to get a gift bag with product in it. I mean, I did my own natural hair event in 2013 during Delta Centennial, and it wasn't a big financial gain for me because events are expensive to put on. But it was a big success for me to be able to put together an event and have almost 30,000 people come through my natural hair event. And I think influencers, because so little equity exists within the creator economy for specifically Black influencers, they took the opportunities they can get. But I honestly don't even think, beyond some of the like kitchen at home trends of like rice water, onion water, that type stuff, I don't really think that influencers can take the blame for curating the product junkie, because that was the brands were always going to find a way to make that happen. With the pandemic kicking off in 2020 itself, you know, the self-reflection, the lack of access, I think some people had to grapple with their natural hair. And this no oil, no grease movement, which I started talking about, for full disclosure, is currently the closest thing that I participate in currently, in that it promotes this idea of using higher quality salon level products in your wash and condition, and using minimal products in your styling routine. And I did the detox, and I participated in this journey, and I'm not really using any style products. But I think for me, taking on this journey, I had shaved my head at the end of right in mid 2019 because I got a pixie cut, got a relaxer, loved it, 20 out of 10, was such a fan. But that is such an expensive hairstyle to keep up, and I was like, I can't be spending all this money. I'm like, I got a little bit of money, but I ain't got that much money, so I'm not gonna keep up with this hair. So I'm gonna shave my head and go back natural. And then I decided that I was going to invest in going to a stylist regularly. And so I decided to try the no oil method. And I think for me, in taking that on, and rather than getting into what I think a lot more people have gotten into, which is visiting the IG stylists, the tape-ins, the silk presses, the natural but highly stylized hair, I think I maybe got a little bit earlier onset of dealing with rethinking what I define as done hair. Because what isn't as heavily discussed in this no oil ideal for natural hair is that you have to step away from these products that we were often using to make our hair look glossy, not necessarily glossy, but have a sheen. Somehow we've absorbed this ideal that moisturized hair has to reflect some sort of shine. Now, depending on the various factors of your hair, but if you have a hair texture that's anything similar to mine, my hair color is dull, my hair texture is very tightly coiled, so it's not going to reflect a lot of light. And I would have to use products that kind of sat on top of my cuticle and created that shine appeal. And now that I'm doing the no oils, those products are very oil, very butter heavy. I've had to learn to become okay with my hair texture being moisturized, but still just looking like its natural state of dry. And I'm saying this because of the recent response to lip gloss's TikTok. Now, lip gloss is a young black woman. She is very popular on TikTok and she has a burgeoning YouTube channel here. I have been following both for quite some time. And I really just appreciated the very matter of fact, self-aware, critical dialogue that she engages with on both platforms. And recently she's been talking about coming to accept her hair as is, in which she doesn't do anything to it. She moisturizes it, she wakes up, fluffs it, and learning to love its hair as is, which I think really does kind of represent why I would say the natural hair community at its height was a failure. Because most of us did not come out of that movement learning to love our natural hair. We loved buying product. We loved getting gift bags. We loved going to natural hair events. We loved the sort of experience of camaraderie, of kinship that the natural hair movement created. But very few of us came into that movement truly loving our natural hair. And so I think lip gloss's TikTok is actually very prescient for her as a young woman to discuss very frankly coming to terms with her natural hair, learning to accept it and love it, and how difficult that is. Because I think it would have been very easy for her to get online and say, I'm gonna do this and I immediately love it. I'm bomb and can't nobody tell me otherwise. I'm that bitch. And instead, you know, she's very humorous. She's very witty. She gets online and saying, I'm having a hard time. I'm gonna put a little extra lotion on my stomach to help me out. I don't know if I like how it look. I can only put white boys with this hair. I'm looking like I can only put white boys with this hair, but we gonna move.
Anyway, I put this outfit on. Let me tell you right now, I can only put white boys with this hair. But I'm not mad, to be honest.
And it's wild and actually quite obscene to watch this TikTok be pulled apart because she makes this quip about I can only pull white boys with this hair. Which for most of us, I don't know. I'm not gonna speak for everybody. I'm gonna speak for myself because I think I be thinking. For the thinkers, I think the joke landed, right? But I think it's wild for us to act so obtuse as if we don't have any cultural understanding of the nuance of that offhand comment. And not only was that comment used, because obviously we have this weird black man, black woman gender war that is really gaining steam on Twitter happening. And so it was used in that narrative that black women are always downing black men. She said nothing about black men. She made no statement about black men. I actually took that comment also to be more of a reference of the type of black women you often see partnered with white men. You know what I mean? There was a myriad of ways to take it before you get to this was an offensive statement about black men. But what really tipped off is that people used that comment to be just so derogatory towards lip gloss. And I really think this is such a great example, not only of the failure of the natural hair community and how many of us didn't come out learning to love our black aesthetics, but also just the general anti-blackness that flourishes so well in the black community. Because I don't believe people would have taken it that far if she had a different phenotype. I'm not even going to get into the ethnicity of women that are dragging her, but the one person in particular, Henrietta Snacks, a light-skinned black woman, quote tweets it and says, "Stubbly pits, lotion after the fit is on, dirty room, I can only pull white boys, sounds like it goes beyond hair." And then there were other offhand comments making commentary about her not actually being attractive. It is wild to do a video about learning to love your natural self, have it end up on Twitter, and people use it as a means to very publicly degrade you. There was not a single thought about her safety, her well-being, what is the psychological impact of this discourse going to have on this young woman. No thought. A man takes her image and creates a Hinge profile And to supposedly prove that all the likes and swipe rights or however Hinge works of black men on her profile proves that she can pull black men with that hair texture. Y'all are unhinged, unwell, unstable. While I did appreciate the way some of y'all clapped back and dragged the shit out of Henrietta Snack so much that she had to delete that original tweet, but she kept her other tweets claiming that the girl just had a problem with not being that attractive and that she was anti-black man somehow. Unfettered, unwell, unlearned. Y'all are nasty people. But the other side of it is that, like, the natural hair community failed. If we came out of the natural hair community having to still work on learning to love our natural hair textures, are we going to sit here and claim that the outside other populations, black men and otherwise, all loved our hair when we didn't? I think black men absorbed the same thing that black women absorbed during the natural hair movement. That specific types of natural hair were to be celebrated. It always had to be very thick, but it could be big and extravagant or sleeked back and baby hair down. Bouncy curls with minimal frizz. Yeah, and included in a ton of that imaging was narrow facial features. You know, I have long talked about the European spectrum of beauty, and the closer we skew to that, with just a dash of Africanness in it, the more those sort of images were getting praised. And everybody, every gender was being socialized to find these particular images as desirable. Me with my natural hair I would so often be denigrated. Even the way, like, my ability to access certain privileges is dependent on the way I'm wearing my hair. And I don't see being called queen patronizingly as a privilege of my natural hair. It's actually annoying. It's often done in a very performative manner, and I'm not interested. So it's so wild to watch people talk about lip gloss, particularly on Twitter, because they want to fit what are now their modern narratives about black men not having real privileges. And, you know, a lot of these sort of gender talks often are over-centering or hyper-fixated on the dismantling of black feminism. You know, black women participating in this discourse to show their allegiance to black men. And I'm not even saying that you can't respect black men in all of this, you know. I'm not part of the divester community, and I'm not part of the I'm sitting to worship the ground you walk on. I'm part of the I don't find people disposable movement. I don't believe in the disposal of people within our community. And I want us all to work towards the very complicated adult act of kindness. I have done videos on this exact topic about the way texture discrimination functions, about the multitude of intersections of isms that one can face when I did my video about how pretty privilege doesn't exist. And also that's a byproduct of commodification, because I think that's part of why people so freely talk about lip gloss, and because their belief is that, oh, she just didn't buy the right things to access the pretty. That's why she looks so regular. I do wish that the natural hair movement, with all its glory, with all the fun we had during that time period, I really do wish we had just like at least a smidge more success in us really coming out of this, learning to love our true selves. But, you know, we've moved into a new era of commodification and Instagram filters and hating our black ass nose and hating our soft features, which lip gloss, you know, she's such a smart and intelligent young woman. You know, she's done videos talking about, you know, loving her soft features, her full features.
One of my favorite things about being black is having a fat-filled face. I think having a full face is so beautiful. Chunky nose, chunky lips, chunky cheeks, so pretty. It makes you look so adorable and youthful. Also, the big brown eyes, they're gonna give every single time. Every single time. Another thing that I notice a lot of black people have that I love is a chunky back. Now look at me. As you can see, I'm skinny, but the back is thick and strong as fuck. Like, I don't know. Black people are very, I don't know. We look good.
And that's something that I've also, like, you know, I watch her and I follow her because I do relate to a lot of the topics she talks about, even though these are things that I might have already been working on. But just that, you know, that reminder keeping these things top of mind, of learning to love her, because all of a sudden, whether it's Botox or an Instagram filter, suddenly everybody has an angular face. Suddenly everybody has these very structured facial features, and somehow we're again reaffirmed that our naturally full and fluffy facial features, and especially as our, for me, as like, especially for older Black women, as our weights ebb and flow, and as we go through different cycles of our hormonal lifespan, that somehow the fuller and fatter your face is, the less attractive it is. And I really appreciate that this is already something that lip gloss has hit it on. I would highly encourage y'all to go follow and engage with her. As I sign my way off this platform, go follow the new folk. Put them on and celebrate them, because they are definitely coming with the right messaging. I don't necessarily want to engage in arguing with folks online, not for the free at all. But, lip gloss in response to the fallout happened, say y'all sending me messaging about this. I want y'all to fight. Y'all should have fought for me. Don't come telling me what they're saying about me. That hurts my feelings. Why didn't you fight for me?
Hey guys, so everybody's been DMing me. Are you okay? I'm so sorry. I'm gonna tell you right now, I think that's such a dumb thing to say. I don't like that being said to me. I'm the type of person, go drag and come back to me and report back to me how you dragged them. I don't want to hear that sentimental shit, because let's be real, it does absolutely nothing. It's not productive. I don't like how y'all are crying, shitting, and throwing up as if y'all was the one who got called an ugly road. That was me, and I'm okay. The day still moved on. I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that, I'm here. If you gonna come beat my ass, you dumb bitch. Anyways, y'all, I need y'all to have some decorum. Stop acting so surprised that this happened. We knew the monstrosity that these men were. We grew up with these men. These men are the reasons that you're shaking in your fucking boots as soon as you take that wig off. Like, get the fuck up. The day goes on. Hold people accountable. Drag people when you need to. And move on.
So I appreciated seeing all the clapbacks, and that is something that I do want to have more fight in me. I do want to have more stand up for what you believe in me. I've been resting during this pandemic, but I'm about to come back with the pew 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 back at you, okay? Because I believe, I think the times is calling for it, that we do need to stand our ground in what we believe in more. I ain't got no kind words to say about it, okay? Clap back, fight back, and let these folks know. Because it's unacceptable, this sort of anti-Blackness that we have just come to accept. And I do find it very unfortunate that the natural hair movement failed in helping us to better love our natural hair textures. There are various ways to take on that journey, and it does require time and labor. It does require some uncomfortable moments, and I think following lip gloss is a great journey to follow along and participate with her. And I'm gonna go get my little natural hair. We'll see. Maybe I'll come back and do a live with y'all with my natural hair out. All right. I don't feel like I've been hiding it for real this year. Have I? You know what I mean? I think I've done a few videos where I had a several day old wash and go in my hair, and you do really still have to work through the way we've idealized certain images and how we feed into those images with ourselves. So, I'm going to commit to doing better as well. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for Audible for sponsoring this course. It's audible.com/Julzy, or text Julzy to 500. Get your first month free. Come on over to Audible with me. You can check out my library. I have so many great selections that I've been listening to, and I will see y'all on the other side. Deuces.